Okay, get this. Every single year, almost half, up to 40% of the world's food just disappears. It's lost before it ever leaves the field. So, what if we could stop that? Well, today we're going to look at a really cool AI that's giving farmers something like X-ray vision for their plants, and it's completely changing the game.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at just how big this problem is for our food supply. Then, we're going to dive into the tech that basically lets us see the invisible. After that, we'll unpack how this AI agronomist actually works, see how it gets from data to dinner, and wrap up with the really big idea, a future where crop failures could be a thing of the past.
So to really appreciate the solution, you've got to understand the size of the problem we're up against. And believe me, it's massive. This isn't just about what's happening in some far-off field. It's a huge challenge that affects the food on all of our plates year after year. Yeah, look at that number, 20 to 40%. That's not just some abstract statistic, you know? Think about what that really means. It's a massive amount of food, water, and hard work that just goes to waste. It's this quiet crisis that's happening in fields all across the globe.
So the big question is, why are we losing this fight? Well, it really comes down to three main issues. First, we're always reacting too late. I mean, by the time a farmer actually sees that a plant is sick, the infection has probably already spread like wildfire. Second, there's a serious expertise gap. Not every farmer has a plant scientist on speed dial. And third, our go-to solution has been to just douse everything in pesticides, which, as you can imagine, is expensive and not great for the environment.
Okay, but this is where the whole story takes a really interesting turn. What if we could flip the script, go from being reactive to being proactive? What if we could give farmers a kind of superpower, the ability to see a problem before it even shows up? Well, that's exactly the idea behind PhytoLens.
And this comparison just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got what we see with our own eyes, right? The yellow leaf, the little brown spots. But by that point, the damage is already done. It's too late. On the other side, you've got this multispectral vision from PhytoLens, which sees the stress inside the plant long before there are any symptoms. It's a total game changer, moving from reaction to prevention.
So how does it work? Well, the secret sauce is this technology called multispectral imaging. Basically, it sees wavelengths of light that are totally invisible to us. And these wavelengths can reveal these tiny chemical changes inside a plant. Things like a drop in chlorophyll or water content, which are the very first red flags that something is wrong. That's why the X-ray for plants analogy is so perfect. It lets you see the problem brewing on the inside way before it shows up on the outside.
All right, so we've got this amazing new way of seeing. Now let's pop the hood and look at how all that technology actually gets turned into real-world advice that a farmer can actually use.
And you know what's cool? The process is actually super straightforward. It's just 4 steps. First, you snap a picture with a special camera, maybe on a phone or a drone. Instantly, the AI gets to work, analyzing it for those invisible stress patterns. Then the system figures out exactly what's wrong. It detects and classifies the disease. And boom, the final step. It sends a simple, actionable recommendation right to the farmer. It's literally like having a world-class crop expert right there in your pocket.
Okay, so the tech is obviously very cool, but what really matters is the impact, right? How does all this techie stuff actually make a difference in the real world? Well, this is where the data really starts to become dinner.
So impact number 1 is huge. You get more food. I mean, it's pretty simple. When farmers can spot a disease weeks ahead of time, they can step in with almost surgical precision. They're not just writing off entire sections of a field anymore. They're saving crops that, in the past, would have been totally lost. And that means more food on the table for everyone.
And that same precision brings us to the second big win, using way fewer pesticides. You know, the old method was basically to spray the whole field and just hope for the best. But now, farmers can target just the plants that are actually in trouble. It's that classic shift from a sledgehammer to a scalpel. It's just smarter, it's cheaper, and it's so much better for the planet.
And look, when you're growing more crops and spending less money on chemicals, what happens? You get the third key impact. Farmers actually make more money. This is a big deal. It means more financial stability for the people and the communities that, let's be honest, are the absolute backbone of our entire food system. But this isn't just about individual farmers, you know? The ripple effects are huge. As you can see here, this tech becomes a tool for the whole agricultural world. Agribusinesses can manage their supply chains better. Governments can get a better handle on food security. And scientists, they can use all this new data to breed even stronger, more resilient crops for the future. And that brings us to the final piece of the puzzle, and it's the most ambitious part of this whole story. Because this isn't just about making this year's harvest a little better. This is about redesigning our entire food system to be more secure, more resilient, for all of us, for generations to come.
Just listen to their ultimate vision: to build a future where no crop fails due to undetected disease. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. That's not just a small improvement. That's an incredibly bold, even audacious goal. They're talking about solving one of the oldest problems humanity has ever faced.
And that really leaves us with one last big thought to chew on. This technology is transforming agriculture, all because we found a new way to see the invisible. So you have to wonder, right? What other huge global challenges are out there just waiting for us to solve them, if only we could learn to look at them in a completely new light?